And we're back. Who's back? Me. Welcome back to Game of Play. Spear of Destiny. Politically correct if you're 13 and up. No, you have to be 13 up to play this, which is strange because, yeah, that's what we thought this game was, PG-13. I guess in comparison to, like, Blood. Yeah. It was hard to know at the time. This is around where we're just about put ratings in video games anyway, because they're just getting it on the cusp of being like, this might be real enough to be actually considered violent. Oh no. There's already game save this position. Hey, you remember on Voyager? There's this species of aliens that is basically Predator, but in the Star Trek universe. Except, you know, you can actually reason them and talk to them and stuff. But yeah, one of the things they decide is they're like one person or species decide that because of their attitude towards, like, you know, the hunt in general, or hunting, they realize that that kind of attitude would probably lead them dying off. Like, he was a big picture thinker, so what he did was he had the holodeck in which you could do training exercise for it, which to me sounds like, he's basically making holographic video games to serve the needs of their hunting lifestyle, you know? And that's how I feel about playing video games right now. So we can totally get there. I'm not sure anyone went up on this philosophy at the time of 2000, or whenever that episode was. But still, that was on the cusp of when video games are about to be like that, or already were for a few years before that episode, I'm sure. And that's what we know. Bricks and treasure, chests with gems inside, gems and stuff. You know what's annoying about looking at this map editor thing? What was it? Havoc's Wolf Editor. Is that it classifies the treasure that I'm looking at, and the medkits and the ammo as the same. Looks like that's fine, but then it also classifies other stuff like the ceiling lamp in the same category. And when there's a bunch of those together, and I know they're not in the way, and I know I don't care about them, I don't like when they show up when I'm checking, so I'm sure there's an editor which I could turn off each variable element for viewing. Like, I had to turn off, like, the floor stuff, otherwise that would just cover the whole screen of, look, every tile means something. I'm like, oh great, that's cool, can we black that out? It's just the floor. Ah, yes, the floor is floor, thank you for telling me. Ah, yes, the score is score. Ah, yes, the health is health, the ammo is ammo, the lives is lives, and the key is we don't know because it doesn't have a label to it. Meanwhile, what is this guy's head? And what is that silhouette of a gun to the right? I don't know. Was that silhouette always there? Do. Oh no, people died here. It was gruesome. Ugh. It's fun to try to determine what's going on in this game from, like, because we're basically going from the bottom layer to the top layer of the castle or whatever have you. And, you know, you start out in, like, say, the sub-level basements or whatever, so you could very well be underground at this moment still. Not that I would know, but these rocks seem to give away stuff that I don't want to tell you about stuff in the fucking future. I know. Oh, so I don't know what to do about that custom Wolfenstein 3D content that was just like, what, for the Mac or Super Nintendo or whatever the fuck? I don't know. Just like I don't know if I would play Doom 64. Like, if it was just the Doom 64 master with the upbeat music of Doom, it'd be like, yeah. At least it's not Doom 3. That's like a completely different game. Although, honestly, what Doom 3 is more like, what if it was a survival horror Half-Life game? Which, okay, but that's not what we're really thinking here, is it? Like, I think Doom 3 marked the hallmark of being like, what are first-person shooters? Oh, I don't know. It's funny, because in our attempt to remain original, we just made a bunch of schlock in the late 2000s, and, well, maybe that's because that was just a shitty part of my life, but I don't like the late 2000s too much. nowadays. In terms of style or whatever it is. Now I feel like where we were just like confined to certain things every 10 years. In reality, we weren't. It was just what the popular thing to do was now, but now we're kind of divided on what that means, as well as a lot of other things. But there's always, if there's something you're interested in, you can probably find out about it. And it doesn't really have to be trendy or whatever. It's just the likelihood in which you'll find it that matters. Hence all the niche communities out there. Need I remind you not to store your code in a Discord server, or I will come there and smite you. Like, I'm okay if you want to just distribute, like, versions of the game, like, in a need-to-know basis, if you actually keep them safe somewhere. Okay? Please? Have an FTP or something. Like, confirm to me that you're not just going to lose your data because your Discord server is going to go down. Okay? Your data! It's going to go down. No, my data. My data's gone. Now my lore is gone too. Shit. But what if we combine the two? Why not both? Yay! And everyone rejoiced. That is all the good shit. Man, I wonder how it feels. Like, I want to tell people that follow me around and just like, oh yeah, he plays the video games and just talks to himself most of the time. I'm not talking in expense of current viewers. I mean new viewers who have no freaking idea. Or they do, but they don't know me. And it's hard to know me just based on this one video alone. But over time, you get to know me, and you know, there's certain things I like that you're probably not going to like. And we get used to that. That's why I don't do things just because they vary as such, but it's just because there's certain things I like. And, you know, I got my Mario fans, I got my first-person shooter fans, and my whatever random crap I do of DOS fans. Maybe a few racing fans, not so much. But or just the one guy that's like, yeah, I'm here for Crash Bandicoot, even though you only did it once. It's like, that's okay, son. Like, some people only just want one game that you've ever done, and it's just like, yeah, that's fair. It's probably your personal favorite. I understand. But there's a negative to that, which is just like, you know, people aren't really going to care what you do one way or the other, or they're going to care too much and be like, no, I want more of this. And I'm like, yeah, I do like that. I just... Look, man, I'm not really too decisive anymore on this stuff. There is certain orders in which case it's stuff I've already done, or like, you know, in terms of sequelitis, depending on it. Like, Final Fantasy doesn't really follow a sequelitis thing, except when you have like X and X2. Anyway, not doing that anyway. But also the people who are like, oh man, I don't like that you're playing super death violent hardcore triple X shooter 9000. I don't like this. I'm like, suit yourself. Which is why I just try to warn you ahead of time, but that should be apparent to anyone that's that's 13 or older. Certainly 18 and older, but the demographic of 13 and 18, which seems to be what decides what YouTube censors or not, which is very shaky at best, which is odd considering the advertisements don't seem to go by that same demographic, or maybe just passing through in the same way a lot of us do. Maybe that is what's happening. Maybe it's not intentional, there's just so much of it, as well as so much of us, that maybe the same scruples they're dealing with, the same ones we are. The not customer who just wants your stuff to be around. Like, Google, I have advice for you. You can be the vanguard of archiving the internet, you know? Don't worry about being the best. Worry about having a stable back end of thousands of terabytes of videos. That can be your one staying power, you know? So I don't know if a search engine's really going to do it for you anymore. And that's only because... I know why it is, because it's not just because advertising. I think it's because of how we interact with the search engine has changed what we thought was going to happen and what they thought was going to happen, and it became two different things. and it's all about the context, and it's kind of like how the LLM AIs are working, sort of, under different contexts. That's making Google thinking like, oh, I thought we were safe. Well, it's like, that's the problem. You know, resting on our laurels. Does you no good. It's like, I'm the best, I don't have to do anything. Yes, you do, always. Always. Don't just sit there. Even McAfee, probably one of the weirdest rich people who I would not recommend as a person. Even his one defining attribute that I think people do like is that he does not rest on his lawyers. He probably doesn't rest on his lawyers. I mean his laurels and his yannis. But he thinks to himself, you know, I did just get a shit ton of money. Why don't I do something with it? Like, I admire that. He's not just sitting there doing nothing. He's not the idle rich. That doesn't mean he's sane. It doesn't mean he's a good person. But I like to take the best aspects of people and compact them into my person, as it were. A Mega Man of good things. A Kirby of good things. The Legion, or Cell, if you will. But of goodness. Whatever it means more Wolfenstein. Oh dear.